Hello, hello, hello. That title is inaccurate today because today this is VFX and Chill with Hashi and Michael. Michael Zalewski, how are you doing today? That's excellent. It's good to stay cool. Oh, let me make sure that you're audible. Could
Oh,
peop can people?
Audible would be good.
Oh, now is Michael audible now? I might have messed that
Hello?
up.
Hello? Can
I
can the
think I
peoples
got you
hear?
there. I knew I needed at least one hiccup out of the gate, but I thought that I had Michael sorted out. So anyway, this is VFX and Chill. This is a show where we like to break down visual effects and put them back together again. Today we are doing a special episode called Blank versus Aliens. I love all of the like older those campy movies that were like monsters versus aliens. I know that's a DreamWorks recent movie, but those lovely cinescope kind of movies about aliens attacking random things or and what have you. So I thought that today would be a fun day to kind of explore that. And let me see if I can share something on screen here. Um, I was inspired especially by watching the amazing trailer for this new Jordan Peele movie, Nope, which looks like a really exciting and just visually different kind of take on aliens versus people, which I kind of liked. And there's a
I mean,
little.
it's Jordan Peele, so it's gonna be great.
It is. So uh,
Oh yeah, this shot.
the trailer does have this one really like this lovely long lens kind of beauty shot. So we do know some kind of ridiculous stuff happens in it. And so the evolution of what we did today is I thought, oh, this would be a fun shot to recreate. And so I tried looking into like stock footage that was kind of similar to that to like add a ship to it. But then like jockeys are kind of boring. So I thought,
I mean, no offense to jockeys.
no, I mean they're it just cinematically they're unless you're watching your a Sea Biscuit or a and I think that ends my list of go to jockey movies. But um, anyway, we decided to ask you, our lovely viewers, what might be a fun thing to fill in this blank versus aliens right here. And here are some of the things that you replied with. So
Mhm.
be ready in the comments there. We have gelatinous cube, spelled with an O. Blake, I'm going to put you on blast. But that's all right because we also have Dutch from Predator. Minions, got to keep it topical. Kyle Hamrick with one of the clear answers for a show like VFX and Chill, Raptors. But with Seth out today, I feel bad returning to Raptors, which we dedicated our whole last episode to. So Raptors are going to go in the cooler for right now. Uh, we also had some other lovely suggestions.
The Raptor
Sokoka's
cooler
E.T., who
is an alien,
is an
so whoever
alien.
suggested that,
All right. So
Triam visuals.
the Goonies, and then the Mitchells. I could see that being a natural sequel to the Mitchells versus the
Mitchell's
Machines.
versus the Machines, which is one of my favorite movies of the year that came out.
Should
Mitchell's
have
versus
absolutely
Mitchell's
won
versus
the
Machines is
Academy Award,
fantastic.
but this has been Animation Opinions by Hashi. Amy Yamato with Maggie Smith,
Excellent
the invincible
suggestion.
Maggie Smith from the
All the
from
things.
all the things, Downton Abbey, your Harry Potters, and probably a bunch of other roles that she loved even more. Ralph Wiggum, too easy. VFX artists getting a little meta. The Smurfs. Um, I'm just gonna move right by this one, Grant, and Seagulls. And is that is this the way Steven Seagal's name is spelled? Is that what that is? Seagulls and Seagulls? Cylons,
Cylons,
cap-
seagulls, eagles.
capybaras. Who wouldn't want to see capybaras in something? Ooh, tardigrades. Bonus points for that GIF. Tardigrades are
That is an
amazing.
excellent gift.
Plus, these things can live in space, so so that could work. And uh, dachshunds,
I mean, tardigrades look like aliens, though. So,
they really
like,
do. I mean, maybe alien tardigrades like taking over a city or something could be kind of cool. Uh,
kind of means anyone in that city is done for because tardigrades are beasts.
they, I'll, I bet there's a water bear model out there somewhere. Dachshunds, Napoleon
It's got to be.
Dynamite, James Bond, uh, Cowboys versus which that was a fun little genre shakeup there. Alpacas, the dude from Big Lebowski, raptors, bunnies, Ghostbusters, Titanic, pirates. I have not seen Pirates versus Aliens.
Pirates versus aliens would be a. I'm on board with that. That sounds fun.
Is this like a? This looks a lot like a Dolly image to me, but this might actually be deliberate. I think it's deliberate, but
It looks almost too like good, like
it's like
not like
unified
whimsically, like
style.
accidentally. Yeah,
All right, sandwiches. That's pretty good. Chucky, librarians, uh, Darkwing Duck, James Cameron's Avengers, The Goonies, The Crew of Red Dwarf, season 5 through 6, A Baby Platypus, Chinchillas versus Aliens, Gremlins, Care Bears. We have so many things to pick from, and because I didn't put these into a spinner, sorry, Seth, I think that we should just pick a couple of these and start going for it. What do you say, Michael?
I say yes.
All
We
right.
should pick some and go for them.
That sounds good. What do you like of this list here?
I like that Dolly pirate image.
The Dolly Pirate image. All right. So Michael will be
I'll
filling
do I'll
out.
do pirates.
We'll do Pirates versus Aliens. I love it, and I am a little unsure what I should do. I don't know if there was anyone who suggested or loved anything specifically. Oh, did that image really have the Dolly logo in the corner? Did I just miss that? Uh, 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 uh. Ah, I didn't full screen it and see the little color thingy thing. All right. So, Michael, where are you going to
Yes.
start your journey?
The ocean. Oh,
Excellent.
speaking of pirates, Hashi.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my favorite holiday, as you are probably aware, is International Talk Like a Pirate Day, September 19th. So,
Oh, yeah.
I'm always a fan of pirate talk of the stereotypical variety and pirate jokes. In the theme of piratey jokes, which is where I'm going to start, what is a pirate's favorite letter?
Uh, I'm split between R and X
Yes,
here.
everyone thinks it's R because R, but really, Hashi, a pirate's true love is the C.
The C, not X marks the spot or R. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, and I'm upset.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to start in Cinema 4D and make myself a little ship. That's what I'm going to do.
amazing. So I downloaded a couple of other clips from some of these things that we were mentioning. Uh, One was when someone said Ghostbusters. I was remembering that the new one, this Jason Reitman one, had this cool kind of like a little bit reminiscent of the general aesthetic of Nope for this moment. It's kind of out in a field and stuff. Perhaps we could comp
Oh
an
yeah,
alien into
that has a
this kind of a thing. There's these kind of wide things. I know that aliens make big crop circles, like in the movie Signs. There's this incredible jump, which what I really appreciated about this jump, by the way, is watch the frame deformation on the car as it lands right here. boom.
Oh,
Just
that's not going to
it's
be
just
drivable.
catastrophic. It's so good though. I really like that. And just in case anyone was really excited about the notion of it, one of the things that I have been messing around with, first of all, is uh, these minions, clearly designed by, I'm forgetting the artist's name. Which artist is this, Michael? Their stuff is all over Vegas casinos. Um,
Oh, yeah, no idea.
the and like Amsterdam airports. But earlier today, I've been thinking a lot about the gelatinous cube from the new Dungeons and Dragons trailer, and I think that I'd like to put together a cheap tricks on doing some gelatinous cube kind of stuff. So I don't think that I will have a gelatinous cube fight aliens in this episode, but I do think that I will make a little cheap tricks about trying to do some, gelatinous kind of stuff in cinema, which means I'm going to have to learn a few things.
Yay! But also, I mean, like, I'm saying yay because people are like on board with you doing more Cheap Trick stuff. People have missed it so much, and uh, I think I think people are excited that you did that last one, and are excited for you to do future ones.
Well, I love it, and I love making them. They're a lot of fun. They do take up a lot of time to do, so they're a bit of a time suck, but they are very fun, especially if I'm
Eh.
obsessed with something like a gelatinous cube. But
I'm just happy that they're putting stuff like Gelatinous Cube in the movies. Like that shows that they are actually like I don't know how to describe it, like paying attention to like how people use it.
it is phenomenal. I think it's sort of like the Star Trek reboot model where you got to grab a focus group of people who are familiar and not familiar with Dungeons versus Dragons and have them list as
Dungeons
many.
versus Dragons.
Did I? Yeah, you see, that is where I fall on this focus group. But anyway, I'll talk a little bit about what I've got going on here. And Michael, just let me know when you'd like me to switch over to what you're doing. I can do that simply like this, where I can see
Oh
that you
yes,
are designing a cool
I
spline.
am. I am doing a cool spline. So what I'm doing right here is this spline is going not going to corner. This spline is going to go not wrong button entirely. Come on, my mouse does not want to work. There we go. I'm putting this into a lathe object. So what a
Ooh.
lathe object does, for those who don't know, is it takes a
What?
spline, for example, this one, and just spins it around an axis, like you were using a lathe. All of you who remember woodworking classes, a lathe is something that spins wood, and then you like poke at it with things to make shapes that are like radially symmetrical, so like table legs or something like that. But instead of cutting away something to reveal something, it just builds something. So now we've got basically a super cool alien ship having done nothing but drawn that little shape right there.
That is incredible.
Very, because it's a very featureless ship in the trailer,
It
and it
really
doesn't really
is.
need much. Like it's just there. Although I do think I need to move it down. Now, I should say here for some lovely pro tips here. Uh, if you are making a spline to go into a lathe, you want, depending on what you're making, but you probably want your at least two of your points to be exactly on the middle. So I use the structure manager for that, which you could find under Window, Structure Manager.
Structure
It's
manager.
yeah, and I always tuck it right here in my interface because I use it all the time. What the structure manager does is it gives you the structure of your content in a table format. So this structure is a spline. So we've got point one is there, and it's at 0 on X, 0 on Z, and then blah 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 in relation to its spline home, and it gives you all of the tangents and everything. So this is like the nitty gritty detail of how this spline is made up. If, for example, you had say just a 3D model and make it editable. Connect objects and delete. And we go to the structure manager. Here's all the different points on this model, which, as you can see, is going to be a very, very, very long list because there are a lot of points in this model I just put in here. So let me just zoom in here.
That is
So
amazing.
and it
I
gives you the position of all those points. So You don't need it for here. But for if you're working with, say, spline and you need certain points to land certain places, you can just type in 0 to make that point snap to the 0 position. So you have no weird little bunchies. Because if this point were like off, you'd have a
Yeah,
hole in
you
the
get
top
a
of your
weird little
spaceship.
thing.
Nobody wants a hole on top of their spaceships.
No.
Alan, have we used Houdini? Yeah. Um, a tiny, tiny little bit. But for the stuff I do, it's unnecessary, especially with how I just for most of what I do, I haven't really needed Houdini. I don't do like massive destruction sims, and particular and X particles have done me just fine for the kind of work I need to do.
Amazing. I have not played with Houdini. Hello to Stu Mashwitz in the chat, and Jason Murphy. I like my VFX like I like my women. Jason, lovely. Michael,
I always tell people I like my women like I like my coffee.
I want that ship when you're done.
I don't like coffee. Yes, you can have this ship when I'm done.
And in that, which I'm going to let you keep building that ship, and I'm going to start putting together a
I'm
scene
I'm
of
Hashi. I'm
minions
done
being
with this
hunted down.
ship.
You're done. I
I'm done with this
love
ship.
the ship.
Except that I think I'm going to make it have a little bit more here so it looks more round. But otherwise, I'm like pretty much done. Like there's no need to really do anything else with it. It looks just like the one from the trailer.
All right. Well, send it to Daniel underscore pizza underscore Hashimoto at sbcglobal.net.
I will not be doing that. I will save my project though, and I will send it to you.
Yes. Excellent. So back in my world, I did a very simple thing, one of my favorite things to do whenever I'm working in cinema. I went to the this extension called the Sketchfab Importer, where I was able to just look for a minion like that. I can totally type it with one hand well, apparently, and work. There you are. And got this lovely model of Donnie. Who knew the minions had names? I knew there was a Kevin. I didn't know that the rest had names. So I imported Donnie, and then once I had a lovely copy, I decided to hop over to, let me see, before I share all of my sensitive information again, let's look at, what's it called? Mixamo.com has logged you out. I stayed logged in?
What?
It's a VFX and Chill miracle. So the textures came over a little bit weird, but what was lovely is that even though this character is barely a morphotype of a human, meaning it, 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head, it technically still fits that description enough that I was able to bring it in here just beforehand and well, not that animation, but I was able to check this in place box for a variety of runs. And for cartoon characters like this, it's great that there's this character arm slider so you can do stuff like that. And, this is not, maybe not like Kevin Temmer animating Minions quality work, but it's absolutely reasonable. And if you don't know who Kevin Temmer is, you need to look up their work. And I'm going to show you the couple of runs I got. I don't know why they came back like 400 times glossier, but we've got 3 little varieties of runs right here, which is kind of nice. And I'm going to do one of the things that I did in a tutorial called Create a Zombie Horde, which is basically to jump into Element 3D, and we're going to use these 3D sequences kind of like sprites in a particle system of sorts. Here's this Dustbuster ship that I found that I thought I would like to use for something. I thought it looked kind of cool, kind of little Terminator-y. But I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to create a couple of groups. Actually, we'll start with just one. And I will go to Import 3D Sequence. And then once I am there, I will jump over to my folder and indicate one of these sequences. So we'll start with Minion Run 1 and import it. We'll see if it happens to remember where the materials are. It looks like not. So I might need to do some annoying relinking kind of stuff. In fact, I don't even know if these were linked well to anything to begin with. So let's see if I have any. No, I should find the textures because they must have existed, right? Were there really this many? That feels like too many to me. One of the many drawbacks of not thinking about this very much. Okay, pants, teeth, the material is the eye, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is the eye. Oh, it is missing there. Let me relink scene files and see if that has everything. Nope, it's just the one eye texture. So we've got, ooh, my eye is ridiculous. I must have had some kind of weird UV mapping in there. So I'm going to have to improvise here. What do we got? What do we got? It would be so wise of me to learn one of the, like integrated programs that brings in Cinema 4D objects into After Effects better than this. But this is what I'm working with, everyone. We got that, we got that, we got some red in the mouth probably. And I'll look up the pants texture because I think that exists. But I just got to find where it is. Michael, how are you doing? Let me know if you want me to switch back.
I'm not doing anything particularly interesting at the moment, but you can look.
All right,
I've got
let's check it
piratey.
out. Will I search
I've got
for
piratey
things?
things.
Oh my gosh, I remember this scene.
Piratey things. So there is a scene in Pirates of the Caribbean, or for those who don't recall, where he's like, "Hey, I'm smug," and then da da da, and then blah blah blah. Basically, his ship blows up. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to take this shot here, possibly one of these shots, and pop some aliens in it. It's a lot of ships. Anyway, I think I'm going to put an alien like up here, basically, floating in the sky, and then we're going to have the alien laser beam come down and hit the ship, a la Independence Day, and then this destruction will occur, is my plan.
Oh my gosh, that sounds delightful.
But I'm not entirely sure how easy it's going to be to integrate a blast in the background.
Well, why don't you just add like some laser bolts that you like run through the footage backward until any of those explosions are at their genesis, and use some
such a good shot. This is one of my favorite shots.
Ecto or a Saber or something. Yay, MP4 compression.
Huzzah.
Aliens versus MP4 compression.
I wonder if I could convert these files to ProRes and it would avoid that issue.
It does if you send it to the external encoder, I think. I think if it's cached, it might grab your cached bad frame, but if you...
No, I'm gonna use a different piece of software to make my ProReses.
Genius.
See if I can. So for those who don't know, MP4 uses what's called an interframe codec, which means that interframe compression, which means that instead of every frame having all of its compression information like a JPEG does, it uses data from other frames. So video is made up of frames. Every single frame in a ProRes file is completely contained, but in something that uses inter frame compression, it has a complete frame, bunch of not complete frames, complete frame, bunch of not complete frames, complete frame. So it takes this full complete frame and then extrapolates data from that to kind of help fill in these incomplete frames. And MP4 uses motion vectors and stuff like that, which is how you get this data mosh stuff going, where they take motion vectors from a clip and apply it to the visual data from another clip, and you get these really cool, morphy, glitchy looking things. And that's how you get data mosh, because it's using data from different compression clips together. But the problem is that After Effects works in completely full pixel data for every frame, every pixel all the time, completely accurate. MP4s don't have that because they have these messy in between frames. So After Effects has to try to interpolate it, and sometimes it gets a little goofy. So for this shot here, where it goes a little goofy, I'm going to see if changing the MP4 file into a ProRes first and replacing the After Effects files with those ProRes files will make it go better.
That sounds
but yes, to answer
lovely.
the question, how do you legally get these footage files? We don't.
No, yeah,
we're not
these.
making we're not like making a pirates ripoff. We're just parodying stuff because we're
Mhm.
smashing stuff together. So we're just using this to demonstrate. We're talking about the films, and we're using it to demonstrate that, i.e., educate on how to use visual effects techniques. And so we're not. We're just yoinking them.
That
And
we
yes,
are.
Paul, these shots did come from the Pirate Bay. I'm just kidding. No, they did not come from the Pirate Bay.
Now, let's see here. So what I'm doing over here is I am trying to find. At least these eyes came in at technically the right. They're on the right object. They're just. Oh, they needed to be tiled twice, I guess. So now I've added some eyes in here, which unfortunately I can't key the UV offset. Otherwise, that could be kind of fun. But now I've got a generic kind of minion looking thing using the textures that I had here. Those, I'm going to maybe make the jean, this overalls kind of texture a little bit more blue. It turned out the ones from that I had found in the cinema had the, oh, what do you call them? Like vertex colors, and that's always kind of a pain in the butt to convert into a thing, at least for me. All right, so
It is a pain.
what I got going on here is now I have this group number two has this running minion. I'm going to go to when the model is selected, I'm going to go to alignment, and I can either check from model probably, and that'll put the character right on the ground. And if it doesn't, you could also align to the bottom of frame. I'm also going to check this normalize button, and so that minion is kind of normalized. And then I'm going to duplicate this group a couple of times. I'm going to duplicate the model, then I'm going to duplicate the model one more time. And now that I have three groups, I'm going to make sure they have distinct group numbers. So I'm going to do 3 and 4, and you'll recall that number 1 is my spaceship, which I'm going to replace with Michael's spaceship because I like it. So, oh yeah, you've sent that
I
to me.
have sent it
That
to you.
is beautiful. All right, let's see.
I don't remember how well Element imports Cinema 4D's like parametric objects, so I got you a file that just has it as a loft in case you want to fuss around with the shape yourself, and I gave you one where it's made editable.
Oh, thank you so
Either
much.
way, the anchor point should be roughly correct for how that ship physically flies.
I love that you pay attention to that, and we've talked a little bit about how the anchor point of flying objects is
Vitally
more,
important.
yeah, is a little bit a little ridiculous.
Well, like I've seen a lot of like 3D models of helicopters that are for sale online where the anchor point is right at the bottom of the skids, the bottom of the aircraft, which is not the pivot point of a
Hmm.
helicopter. I mean, it is if it's like rolling on the ground for the helicopters that have wheels and it's on the ground. But once it's in the air, the pivot point tends to be right at the bottom of the rotors. Blue Studios, yes, Hashi is using Element 3D, and I will be using Element 3D as well. It is just like if I were doing this shot for real, I would render the alien ship out of Redshift in Cinema 4D, obviously. But I don't need the realism and everything for right now, since we're just trying to knock out a quick VFX shot to talk more about the visual effects compositing end of things. So having the ability to animate and composite, like and adjust things just on the fly immediately with instant rendering right smack dab inside of After Effects makes Element 3D a good choice for that. Another good choice would be Mirror, but it's somewhat limited compared to Element in its current state. As far as the amount of materials you can put on there and what you can do with them. But Mirror is also a good choice. I might actually use Mirror for mine. You know what? I might use Mirror. We'll
Do
see.
it. All right, so I have imported your saucer here. I've added a little kind of default sci-fi panel kind of texture to it. And then I also have this minion run cycle. I've got this, they're all run cycle A right now, but I'm going to go and, or actually I'm going to right click here and say, let's replace this one with sequence B, which is 28 frames, and let's replace this other one with sequence C, as you might have guessed. Again, if you want to see this in a a more methodical layout, I cover this in How to Create a Zombie Horde. I'm going to press OK to jump back out here to the After Effects interface, and now you'll see I've got some minions going on, which is kind of neat.
Everyone wants more minions in their life.
More minions, yeah. Who doesn't have enough minions in their life? I think they are necessary. So we've got these three minions, and they have slightly different run cycles. And one thing that I can do to start is I could create little group nulls that are assigned to kind of where each one is. And so I could put, one minion over here, one minion over here. And I'm actually rendering them with all this ambient occlusion and physical rendering, which feels a little unnecessary as I'm looking at it. Oops, I made a null for the ship, which I'm not showing at the moment. I'm going to reveal it later. So let me create a null for that last minion, and I'll just put him right there. So let's, whoops, did that not take? Oh, did I? I moved him too far. And Michael, just let me know. I don't mean to hog the screen. We can jump back to.
Oh no, it's fine. I just got my, I just got my thing transcoded, and looky there, no glitchy glitch. Wah, wah.
And Alan Goering saying, I can't wait for the new Element 3D version 3 and Nebula that Andrew Kramer talked about.
Yeah, Alan, we have all been waiting for 3 years.
And
Andrew, he showed it off.
We love you. We
do love you, Andrew. I mean, I got to actually see the new Element in person. Like, he and I snuck off to a corner at Adobe Max in 2019, and he showed it to me. And I was like, wow, this is great. Can't wait to see it come out. It was 2019.
NAB 2019, also where I met you, Michael, and then promptly forgot.
Wait, no, Adobe Max. It was Adobe Max.
Oh, it was Adobe Max? I've not been to Adobe Max.
Adobe Max is fun.
Except for this year, I believe that... Oh, Jason, you cut me deep. I think it's getting released right after the Venom short.
Oh, Jason, that is a good one.
Well played.
No, jokes aside, though, we all love Andrew Kramer, and we think he's great.
We do. Oh, I'm going to save my After Effects project. Michael, have you already saved your After Effects project?
Since I imported the the ProRes files. All right, let me see here. But I have saved it now.
Excellent. All right, so we've got a basic layer that is just a solid with this effect called element on top. And now when I play this back, it's going to basically be all three of these run cycles of these minions doing their thing. And it's kind of cute. But I want more than just the three minions. I want like a group being just very, very terrified by a flying saucer. And I kind of want to do a long lens shot, a little bit like the one in Nope, but instead it's a group of minions like running through the mist trying to escape from a giant flying saucer behind them.
Nice.
So we've seen some really good long lens kind of shots here on VFX and Chill by superfan Blake Rizzo, who made an amazing short, I think called Air Traffic Controller, or maybe just ATC, that had an incredible I think it opens with a great long lens approach shot. One of the reasons why long lenses are great for that is they compress that space, and you can make it look like a ship or a plane or anything is a lot closer to the action. What is the movie that has the seaplane landing headed straight toward camera, and it looks like there's the group of people in the boat, like two old dudes in a fishing boat up front, and the seaplane.
Oh, I don't know the answer to that question.
Someone who watches movies.
Hey, but seriously, someone who watches movies.
Someone who watches movies. Let us know what that was. I can't remember. So I've got the shadows and stuff on these characters, but I don't know if I need them to... I'm just going to put them into draft mode for a second, so they're just going to look like real 2D shaded things. Oh, I'm not even on my screen, am I? Doesn't matter. You didn't miss anything.
You didn't miss anything. That's fine.
I've got these 3 minions still, but I want it to look like more minions. And so that's why I'm going to use something that is in each group under particle replicator. You can replicate your particle that is made up of these sequences to a certain number. I'll just say 19 randomly. And instead of a point, I'm going to arrange them in I could do 3D grid and I could do plane. I'll just do plane. There we go. So in this plane, I wonder if that just does it very evenly. Maybe I'll do a 3D grid. That way I can say, you can all see what's happening here. I'll hit F11 to go to kind of an orthographic view up here. I now have 3 by 3 by 3 grid of minions. But I don't need 3 in the y-axis, so I'll turn that down. And now I have 3 and 3. But I would like them kind of spread apart a little bit wider. So I think that I can do that with the scale tool right here. I can just maybe make the actual array bigger like that and bigger like that. And then down under replicator effects, I can scatter these characters specifically on the x-axis like this. So it's just going to kind of randomly scatter them one way or the other like that. And I'm also going to maybe under, I think, let's see, what is it under? You can add positional noise, but that's not what I'm thinking. Under particle size, I can turn up the particle size random. And this is one of the spots where it's helpful to have had all of these minions at the same anchor point. So they're all still touching the ground. But I can add, say, like 25% random size to them, like this. And then if I do this kind of thing to the others, I can create kind of an X scatter and Z scatter of these characters that will spread them out and start to make them into more of a herd or a horde or a group or whatever. So I'm going to repeat some of those same steps a few times. So again, that is particle replicator. Let's turn it on to a 3D grid, and then we'll just do 1 by 3 by 3, and y'all can see that this is connected to this group null, which is kind of neat. So I can basically move this whole group of minions that are running in that style like this. But first I can spread them apart in X, I can spread them apart in Z, and then I can also, under the replicator effects, scatter them both in X and Z. And if I didn't have a distinct ground plane, I could scatter them in Y also, like this, like they were running over hills or something. And that's a fun trick if you are working with a crowd shot sort of like this. Like there are possible times where you could add a little bit of Y scattering. And that would add just a teeny tiny bit of randomness. All right, so now I want to kind of interweave these groups. So we've got some minions running over here, some running over there, and I'll do the same thing with this last group. My goodness, so many minions. How far are we into this episode? We're 40 minutes into it. I kind of want to get through more than just minions. So, Hashi, hurry up through this next bit. Let's get this going real fast.
To answer the questions from people, how's Seth? Seth's great. Seth is just taking
awesome.
a little bit of a holiday for fun things.
Whoops, what did I do?
And we will all be taking a bit of a holiday here in a little bit. The month of August will be off and the end of this season, and then we will start a brand new season.
We are going to
in
actually
September.
chill.
Well, we may or may not have cool things coming out that we need to prepare for.
That's true. Yeah, I love making and doing this show, and it turns out that there's still other things that have to happen. Who knew? All right. So as you can all see, I have these kind of random groupings of minions, and there are 3 groups, and they are kind of scattered differently. And I can shuffle through the random seed if I want just to kind of see what potential layouts there are. I'm just looking for layouts where there are not too many overlapping, but you kind of get a cool, like, grand sense of how many minions there are running. And that's getting close, but maybe I gotta spread them in Z a little bit more. Okay, so here's what we have now. We have basically these
Sorry,
three...
sorry, Hashi.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't. I don't know if you just answered this, but someone was asking why you have the different element groups instead of just one large group.
Oh, I have that because I have. Let me. I'll try to visually show this off. This looks like a. Doesn't this look like a goodness, I couldn't even think of the word. A screensaver from the 1990s right here. But if I play this, you'll see that all of these are little animation sequences. And there are three distinct run patterns. One is this fast one is this flailing arm one, and one is kind of arms a little bit up in the air, very small step run. Now, if you were to look at any of the two sprites that are the same, right now they are exactly aligned. They're happening at the same time. But what I want to do is for each of these groups, the ability to have three different groups with different run styles is that I can now go into the, let's see, where is it? I can't remember if it's under replicator effects, particle order, nuts. I came in all confident and then I forgot where the thing is. Oh, it's under particle look under baked animation. Right now they are in loop mode, which is correct. They're supposed to loop, but they could also be random loops. And now you'll see these two minions, of course, happen to stay on the exact same frame to not make my point. But I'm going to change the random seed, and so I can see. Oh, I'm affecting a different group of minions. But now they're all on random loops there. And if I do that for all of these groups, I'll now have all these distinct, different kind of running shaped minions. And, you know, they're going to kind of blend into a horde of sorts that doesn't even really matter. But this is especially helpful if you have a longer run cycle. Some of these loops are only 15 frames long, so it may not be super apparent, but using different groups gives you the ability to add like a slow zombie, a fast zombie, and some things like that, if that makes sense.
I think it makes tons of sense.
Oh, in Blue Studios, we are now, with some of our live shows, broadcasting simultaneously to the Red Giant channel, where the show originates, and also will live if you decide to watch the replay of this. But while it's live, you can also watch it live on the Maxon YouTube channel and the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel. And you could also watch it on the Red Giant Twitch channel. Is that right, Michael?
Yeah, if you're a twitchy person.
If you're twitchy, do that.
Yeah.
All right. So I've offset some of these. Did I offset the last group? Particle look, particle animation, baked animation, changed to a random loop. And now all of these minions are doing their own thing. So let's switch back to this front view. And I'll switch it off of draft mode for a second to, we'll do a full render, but at half res. So now I've got these minions. I'm going to add a light source. Should I do parallel light? Why not? Slightly blue parallel light. And we'll point it kind of this direction. So look at all the definition we get just from this nice side light now. Okay, so now we've got a horde of minions that I believe if we were exactly aligned with the ground plane, they're all touching the exact same ground. See that? Which is a lot of fun. But there's some random size and there's some random placement. There's a little bit too much overlap for my taste between a couple of these groups. So I'm going to try to break this up just a little bit and figure out if I can maybe add some more scattering to group 2, it looks like. Let's scatter them more in the... Oh, I have hardly any Z scatter on them. There we go. scatter them wide like this, and a little bit wider like that, and then position. Let's whoops. Let's move them somewhere. All right, there we go. Not too many overlaps now. And now on my camera settings, let me just reset my camera really quickly here. Michael, let me know if you have something visually interesting to show. I don't mean to. I'm so used to this split screen. I don't mean to steal it all here.
No, it's fine. I'm just trying to see if I can get a decent, let's see, camera track here. Well, I'm not going to try a camera track, obviously, because it's water. So I'm going to have to try to manually track this. For those who are unaware, water makes your camera tracks go poopy because it is constantly moving in all kinds of directions, and the camera tracker is expecting things to be in the same spot and the camera's movement to be the thing that it is following. So you're kind of stuck if you're trying to use a camera tracker and your main shot is full of water. Now, I may be able to pull a camera track off of these ships if they're not moving too much back there. We might try that, actually. But first, I'm just going to see if I can close enough.
Tripod solvey situations there. Also, I see...
yeah, because I don't think this is moving too much. It's just moving a little bit like to one direction, so I just need to kind of...
If you are a match move or tracking artist, there are a handful of different crazy ways that you can kind of get your software of choice to track the space that you need. I see, I assume it's by Kendall, says, "Hey, what's up? Finally made it to a stream. Welcome. Especially if you've been trying and haven't been able to before, so welcome, welcome." We are making random things fight aliens, and minions are not aliens, right? They evolved on Earth.
Ooh.
Isn't that the...
that's a good question.
Don't they, like, evolve in, parallel to humans or something like that?
I don't know. Did he find them like Willy Wonka claims he did with the Oompa Loompas?
Like, I feel like it's an Oompa Loompa situation.
Yeah. But
anyway, I'm moving my camera way back here, something like this. And you'll kind of notice that as I pull the camera back, there's a lot of size disparity when I'm kind of like this. And that's kind of cool. But if I zoom back like this, you'll notice they all start to become sort of a more similar height. And that's just because they're farther away from the camera. There's less distance from the top of the thing to the bottom. So if I pull the camera way back, but then go to my camera options and crank up the zoom on the lens, I get this kind of foreshortened effect, which is kind of neat. And the reason why I'm interested in that is because if I just cheat my camera a little bit up like that, I can kind of play this sequence of minions running, and they're going to sort of have this effect of looking like they're being shot on a long lens, especially if I enable the depth of field. So for my depth of field, I'm going to create a new null object, and I'm going to make it a 3D object right here. I'm going to make it big so it's easy to grab when I need. And if I switch to this camera view, you can see that it's right in the middle of all of these minions, and they're actually quite spread out in Z space, but I'm really compressing it using this camera angle. But if I select my null layer and my camera together, I'll try to make it visible on the screen. I can right click and say camera link focus distance to layer. And that means that it's going to put this nice little expression right here. That means wherever this null object is, that is where the camera is going to be focused. So you'll notice that if I now jump in and turn up the aperture a little bit, this artificial aperture, I'll start to get some cool, really like deep focus on these guys, which is kind of neat. And if I grab probably all of my groups at once, I might parent them all to a different null that's moving them all forward. They're probably moving at different rates, and in my zombie episode I carefully mapped this out to each rate, but instead I'm just going to kind of go for, let's let's make this shot shorter. Let's go for 3 seconds. I think that's ambitious enough. Because like it's like a cool trailer shot, you know, it wouldn't be super long. But over the course of these 3 seconds, these minions are going to translate forward in Z by about that much, and this camera is going to tilt up a little bit. I'm just going to animate the point of interest to slowly crawl up and look up behind them like that. And Michael, how is the track going over there?
Actually, it came out surprisingly well. If
Ooh.
you see here, it's pretty close enough. That's close enough. All I did was make sure this point stayed roughly there on the ship, and this point stayed roughly pointing in the same direction on that ship, and I think that'll be close enough to make the ship look like it's floating in the air, the spaceship.
I
Let me give
dig
that a
it.
try here in a little bit. Just got to just find a way to put this roughly in the shot where it goes.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. So I'm back over here in one of my favorite places to grab stock footage, or stock photos, which is PX here, Pix here, or whatever. I'm just going to type in maybe like desert or dirt road. All right, and what I'm hoping for is just a really boring, like bright. These kind of work, but I kind of don't want the actual. I want more like a like a path, like yeah, like this kind of ugly thing. Oh, that's like a panorama. I don't want that one. I want an actual like dirt on the road situation. And nuts. I'm going to use this one, because this works fine for my purposes. So what's great about these is these are all free for personal and commercial use with no attribution required. And you don't even need to sign up anymore. You can download these as a guest. So I'm going to save this landscape right here. I'm just going to call it BG Land, so it's not a big old file name once I bring it all in. And we'll say OK. And now we're going to do Hashi's favorite old 3D card trick, which is I'm going to bring in that element that I just saved, the BG land. And now I'm going to bring that into here. For just a moment, I'm going to turn off my depth of field on the camera. Or not my, whoops, I did the wrong thing there. Turn off the depth of field on the camera, and I'm going to make that background that I brought in a 3D layer. I'll also double tap A, which will allow me to open up the properties of this layer. So down here I can go down, and it might be hidden behind my head here. Accept lights, I'm going to turn that to off. And so now this won't deal with any of the lights that I'm using in element. So now I've got a cool 3D layer with a background on it, but you might say to yourself, that's just a big old flat background. What could you possibly be doing with that? And I'll tell you what I'm doing with it. I am going to press A to reveal my anchor point, and I'm just going to scroll the Y anchor point like this, right until my horizon is lined right up with the X gizmo. You see that? And then I'm going to duplicate the 3D layer, and I'm going to grab the this X gizmo, hold down Shift, and rotate that twice for 90 degrees. So what I've just created here is the stupidest version of a like 3D projection here, where I have my background image, and then right at the point where it sort of becomes a horizon, it actually starts to stretch out like that. Now, if I link the one that is kind of the fake ground, I'll just retitle it so I remember, I can parent it to the original now, and I could also lock it so I don't end up monkeying with it again by accident. I could, in this kind of orthographic view, just shove it back maybe, several thousand pixels. And then we'll switch back to a front view. or switch back to our active camera rather. And once I'm in my active camera, now I can kind of scale this up, but I'm being careful to leave the position basically alone with that, unless I'm using the gizmo to shift it in the X direction. All right. Whoops. Come on. There we go. And now if I want, I could actually go to the scale properties here, press unlink on scale, and dial up the Z depth. And watch what happens. Now my ground plane starts moving forward toward me. So this is a very stupid way to get, I'll try to make it a little bit bigger in frame for you. If I just had, let me just solo these two for a moment. Now we've got this kind of fake landscape that the camera moves with. So I can come like down to the ground, and I can orbit the camera around. Oops, we're under the ground now even. But I could get these really steep camera angles or these slow camera sweeps or whatever. And you could even pair this with something like power pin and undistort it or whatever. But I don't need any of that right now. All I need is a sort of temp background to throw my element in front of, like so. And then I'll turn my camera's depth of field back on. And that should give me a kind of cool effect on this all. So not the most realistic depth of field look, but it's kind of interesting. How's it going over with you, Michael?
Speaking of depth of field and aliens, actually, before you, I was going to say I've got.
I can come back to you in a sec if you let me know when you.
I just got to find where I put it. I put somewhere. I don't want people to see my network. Somewhere.
All right, you're safe at the moment.
Well, I was just going to say I faked a pretty cool depth of field look for a shot recently. I just got to find it.
All right.
And I'll put it in here for you to see. It was for Tip Tuesday that the Red Giant put out just a bit ago. And if I can find where I put it, it would be great.
I am just jumping in here and making a kind of a blue ambient color. Actually, I want less blue. I want like desaturated blue. So it's a hint like the ground and a hint like the sky. And then I'm going to turn that way down to like 20. And if I wanted to, I could even add a shadow catcher here, but I'm going to wait on shadows for just a second because maybe I don't need them, and I could fake that it's not this way. So we're almost right at the 1 hour mark here, and I'm closer on this. I wish I were a little bit closer than this, but kind of getting there. I'm going to.
I found it.
You found
it, Hashi.
All right, you ready?
Yeah. So this is for the Tip Tuesday. I wanted a nice cinematic-looking shot, so I got this like hallway shot from Midjourney. I wanted a sci-fi hallway, but I was like, you know what? It should fall off into out of focus, and I didn't want to reimagine things. So I used two effects. I used the camera lens blur and After Effects to get this blur appear, and then I used Universe Spot Blur.
One of my favorites.
To make it extra blurry back here. Since this hallway was pretty much straight shot down the hall, I just made the blur fall off this way. It's basically a really easy to use fast rendering compound blur.
That is ingenious.
So it's extra blurry back there and it gets less blurry up here. And so we've got this lovely person fighting off the aliens. There's little explosions happening off to the side where she's firing to. So her gun fires and whatever explosive is exploding off screen over there to make the reactive lighting on her face.
Beauteous.
And I was using this because I was saying, you can use Bang for more than just like real muzzle flashes. You can use Bang for like laser blasters. There's even presets. So have fun with Bang in your sci-fi movies, people.
Absolutely. And going back to the
and here we've
compound
got
blur with amazing.
Right. All I've done here is some super comp, and we're good. A little bit of light wrap on the edge. Stu's little subtlety is going to be undone by my heavy-handedness.
I do.
The
I
preset.
always crank those up, just like
so
disappointingly high.
so
I'm
subtle.
so happy
I know you're like,
that.
well, I don't want to show. I want people to see that I've done a light wrap. No, you don't. People should not know you've done a light wrap. They should just have notice that your thing is sitting nicely in the scene.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's rough. Oh, I love it. You get some good animation going on.
I know it's great. I'm happy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, good.
So back here, we've got minions shot going on. I'm going to rename my focus null just so I can remember which one it is. And I'm going to start it out in just by cranking it back toward the camera a little bit so I can kind of bring maybe this first minion into focus a little bit. So let's try that. Oops. Oh, little, too far. Way too far, way too far, way too far. What have I done? Negative, let's just type in negative 5,000 and pretend that's probably close, right? Okay, not bad. So this null, wherever it is in Z space, is where the camera is focusing. So I want to start out with this minion. Yeah, this is the kind of thing I wanted. Here we go. So we've got this one scared minion up ahead. Let me maybe, I'm going to move my camera over a little bit more. And again, this is what's kind of cool about this crazy horde setup is that I've got the fake ground plane thing going on, so I can kind of see, I can move it along and get this cool kind of a shot like that. If I add some keyframes to the focus null, what I can do is I could just do a gradual focus, like a rack over the course of this shot, where I push it back into space, and so I can start to see the sky above them, like that. See, so because I did my camera tilt, imagining that there's going to be a ship there, I need to stretch out my background image, and luckily, since the horizon is right on the ground, I can just do that. I can scale it in Y, and that most would probably buy that just fine. So now I want to add in your ship, Michael.
Yes.
I love that yours is
The ship.
your ship versus ship is incredible.
Yeah, it's a good, just a pretty solid ship. I was very pleased with it.
All right, I'll rename my null to ship so I can remember which one it is. And then just for a second, I'm going to turn my depth of field back off. Thank you so much. Saying thank you to Sophia, my lovely child, right here.
Hello, Sophia.
And they're off. All right. So yeah, I'm turning off my depth of field for a second just so I can maybe preview what this looks like. So let's see. Let that RAM preview through here. You can see the crazy glitchiness in the way that Mixamo divided up the minion's head, because it had to make itself a distinct head joint, which does not really exist on a minion. A minion is much more amorphous. So yeah, check this out.
Ah.
So it is a little boring without that rack focus, but let's get the ship into place so we can start to see what this shot comes together like. And then we'll try to rush through one more shot after this. So I'm going to go enable my group 1, which, as some of you will recall, it was my ship. Let's see how big this ship is to begin with. Right now it's about this big, which is not very big. I want it to be very big. And I want this, let's see, so we've got, I may not have set up an environment for this because this reflective material really can barely do anything if it doesn't have some environment. So I'm going to jump into here for a second and let's find the ship. And okay, yeah, right now it's looking very boring. So what might be going on is I might be missing a, the editable version may not have a UV tag on it. So I'm just going to tell it to assume it's a sphere. I feel like that's maybe a good start because, that makes it kind of radial like that. And then under the environment settings, let's grab a, you know, uh, uh, what should I'll just try this random city one. It's a little bit blue, too blue maybe actually. Let's see, what else do I have? Do I have anything that has blue sky and tan ground? Here, there's this one I took with the 360 by occipital app on my phone. So it's not a real HDRI, but it is enough to give this ship a deserty reflection on bottom and a kind of bluish tint on top. Also, let's turn up the a little bit of reflectivity on this ship. Make it a little bit more exciting, and I'm going to turn down the reflectivity dial a little bit. It's using this sci-fi texture here, so I actually want to make this, I'm going to crank the levels in it a little bit so I have these distinct little sections that are especially shiny and other parts that aren't. So kind of like that. It makes it look a little bit more aged. So let's say OK on that. Now it should look a little bit more like a ship, and the minions should be a little bit more colored for the scene. There we go. See, they're reflecting with this physical base shader. They're kind of, their pants are kind of reflecting some of the ground a little bit. So let's move the ship way back to be this intense, scary thing. Which one is my ship? It's this one. Michael, let me know when you want to.
Oh, I'm just trying to find a good HDR similar to you. I want
Clinton
something a
Jones
little more.
showed a really cool example. Yeah, it was either in a quarter video or on his channel of a bunch of, and I've completely forgotten the website now. If you remember what Clint just shouted out as an amazing resource, please let us know because I totally forgot.
Why is the top of my ship not reflecting anything?
That's a good question.
Thank you. It just seems weirdly reflective.
Go jump in, and this is what I just had to do. I'm guessing that it doesn't
Flip the
have
normals?
any. I think it's the UV mapping. I think it doesn't have a UV tag, so switch it from UV to like spherical or cylindrical.
Oh. Yeah, let's do sphere. That shouldn't affect the reflectivity, I wouldn't think.
It shouldn't, but it could have
I mean, I'll try
interpreted
it.
it in some silly way that it didn't think so. This isn't the full.
So weird.
Oh, that is odd.
Like
I don't know.
I see solid reflection there, but nothing up top. So weird.
All right. Well, I am going to add another null object to my scene. Just so many nulls. And I'm going to do the trick of, I want to put this 3D null right where the ship is, so I'm just going to hold down Shift while I parent it to the ship. And now it will be right there. And now I'm actually going to unparent it from the ship because I really just wanted to move it exactly there. And then I'm going to move this anchor point up just a little bit higher than the actual ship, like a little string toy. And now I'm going to parent the ship to this. And now if I rotate this on its z-axis, it's going to feel kind of like the ship is sort of banking a little bit, but off of, its own, instead of from the center, like it's just turning around itself, it's like it's having to fight the air a little bit. So I'll start with it. Let's add some position and rotation keyframes here. Orientation, I mean, for the 3D. Let's rock the ship backward a little bit like this, and I'm going to move it up in Z so it's kind of off screen at the beginning. And then at the end of the scene, when the camera tilts up, it's going to be careening forward toward everyone, so we all think we're going to get dead by this spaceship. Yeah, I want it to look like there's no way it's not about to collide with the ground, basically. And I'm going to have it swoop a little bit over to this side, and I'm going to have it rotate just a teeny bit forward like that by the end. And should I have the ship like be spinning the I don't know.
I mean, there's no detail on the ship uh, for it to really notice any spinniness. It's the same shape all round.
All right. Well, I'll throw an expression on there just in case. And now I want to be done with this shot, so I'm going to turn the depth of field back on. I'm going to add an adjustment layer way up top. New adjustment layer. And on this adjustment layer, I'm going to use one of my favorite one effect tricks, which is to add universe heat wave. Now, what heat wave does is gets confused because I'm in the wrong preview mode. All right, so with heat wave on, what I can do is heat wave is doing two things. As I crank the heat intensity down or back up, it's basically just like your standard like heat ripple kind of effect, but it works really well for doing this kind of an effect where you're trying to kind of mimic the way like the air distortion would look over this, not even necessarily just from the heat, but I like it because it knocks things off of square and kind of gives them this cool ripply detail. And you have control over the size of the distortion effect, so you can have really big waves like this. I can't tell how well you can see that, but if I crank these down, then you get sort of these little bits of kind of blurry, hazy distortion, which I really like. And this might be a little bit exaggerated for this kind of a shot, but adding back in just a subtle amount like this will hopefully make this all work. Let's see, let's press play, and let's see, oh my goodness, is this for me?
Just one sip.
Oh, just one sip. I've been granted one sip from this water bottle Sophia just brought me.
It's not. Oh, it doesn't have water. It has mint.
It doesn't have water. It's just vodka.
Ooh, mint, cucumber,
and strawberry juice.
Strawberry
and bourbon.
juice.
And lemon rover.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me have a sip.
It's very kind.
Do you want? Can you guess what I'm making right here, Sophie?
Aliens attacking minions.
Look at that! I win, right?
She's on it.
All right, so
What do you mean you win?
it means I made a shot that you could tell what it was, and that's half the battle.
Are running from the minions are running from aliens. What else would it be?
Good point. Good
and
point.
Plus, you said that the aliens aren't gonna fight the gelatinous cube.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I snuck
did
into
say
your
that.
office and crawled behind your
What?
chair and turned it around.
Oh my goodness. All right, so
I'm a ninja.
darn it, Michael, I should have listened to you on the spinningness of the
She's
ship.
a ninja, folks.
She is a ninja. Okay, so all right. You know what I need to do?
Happy.
Watch this.
Lock your door?
Very silly trick. That's one thing that I got to do for sure. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make this angle a little bit less dramatic right here, and I'm going to add some keyframes to the scale of the ship, which is so cheap, but I'm going to do that. Okay, there we go. I think that's a good final image right there. So on the ship, I'm going to keyframe its scale to be this big here, maybe even bigger, because why not? How scary could we make this shot?
How scary? So
Like,
scary.
I'd be scared, like here. And then back here, let's scale it down to like, I don't want to make it too fast seeming, but here's a very dumb cheat that I can do because everything is made up. All right, here we go. Minions. All right. I am going to move on to other shots, but the next thing that I would do in a shot like this, and I do it in that zombie horde shot, I think, is that I would render out a position pass basically like a Z depth pass, and with that Z depth, I could add in lots of cool dust kicking up from these minions running, and they would sort of obscure the ground. Right now I don't have any contact shadow stuff going on, and I guess I could turn on a shadow plane. I don't know. Michael, do I need a shadow plane?
I mean, if you wanted to genuinely cast a shadow instead of just use VFX shadow.
Oh. All right, let's see. Okay, we're almost through this preview.
Oh, so good. How old is Sophie is a Final Films question.
Final Films question from about Sophie. Sophia will be 8 on September 5th. Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay, here's this shot. Okay, the stupid thing I did is I didn't exponentially scale it, which means that it looks like it's actually slowing down at the end, which actually lessens the tension a little bit. So naturally, some of that needs a little bit of fixing, but you all kind of get it. And I'll do this real quick. I'll add some contact shadows just for you, whoever you are. Hopefully this is real fast. I'm just going to show you a still frame with it. All I would do is I would create a new group folder, and since I'm using a common like 0 as the ground plane here, I would create just a plane like this. I would, I've rotated my camera to some crazy place. Make it real big in here, and I can even make it bigger once I'm out in the rest of the world. And under the shader settings, let's go down all the way to the bottom and check this matte shadow button. And might as well also click on the normal bump, and I'm going to load in something random that I have as well. What do I got? We've got some materials. We've got maybe some plaster or something like that. Here we go. Here's a nice grungy normal texture like that. And I will repeat it like 5 times. That's in the normal bump channel, and turning that down a little bit. Now I'll say OK. And now what should happen is there should be some ambient occlusion / shadow under these characters when I zoom out, if the ground plane is the right size. So let's create a null for the ground plane and then scale it all the way up. There we go. They're contacting the ground. Ain't it amazing, everyone? And I could enhance this a little bit if I wanted to. Sometimes heavy ambient occlusion looks real fun. So you can see what's happening is a combination of heat wave and the normal bump is giving the shadows this kind of nice little lumpy feel. So I dig this. I'm also totally missing an explosion from here, huh? There are too many things that I want to do. But people in the chat, while I am making up my mind, I believe that we had... The ones I'm willing to try are Ghostbusters, Maggie Smith, and I don't remember what else. Remind me what I should jump to, just to keep it interesting here. And Michael, let me know when... I can see Michael's screen, and I'm so excited. Let me know.
Oh,
when
yeah,
you'd
yeah,
like
yeah.
me to
Oh, yeah,
share.
no, go ahead. So I've got... I'm ready to go. You can show it.
All right. Oops. There we are.
It's just rendering it out real quick. I've got them chatting, and then the laser blast comes in. We're using a beam. Stu, you'll be very happy. The laser blast is done using a beam. This actually worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to. So let me walk you through what I did to make this to make this little laser beam here happen.
Please.
So all I did, it's very, very simple. I've got my here, remember this little name things, bars. It's the bars up top. Super comp. All I have is super comp and 3 layers. I've got my regular footage layer, nothing done to it. Got my beam. That's that's what it looks like, just that. And then I've got this keyed foreground layer, which is just this.
And yet, it looks...
Well, because super comp makes it great. So to key it, I first thing I did was I used Primat Keyer to pull that sky. Because I color graded it so wacky, the sky actually came out keyed out really well. So Primat Keyer just pulled this color here.
Yes.
So keyed that, and then I used extract to knock some more of that, cloudy bits out. And then I used color key, and then importantly, down here, something a lot of people forget is that under an effect, under the compositing options, you can mess with the opacity of that effect. So the effect is 100% opacity or 0% opacity.
Let me try to hide us from...
So that's what it looks like without super comp. And then with. So I did my favorite trick in super comp. Well, I shouldn't say my favorite trick. One of my favorite tricks in super comp, which is I use the layer glow, which is basically the optical glow effect inside super comp, but it doesn't interact with other layers. So let me turn off this one. So layer glow uses the optical glow and just keeps it on its own layer. So it gives you that good atmosphere haze. I put it at a nice, decent sized amount, but like a very big size. So it gives you this nice, like, this is a beam through haze. Oh, it says we lost audio.
Oops.
I'm back. No, it says I'm back. It says I'm back.
Great, good.
All right. So I've got the layer glow is set to give you that nice hazy kind of glow. Because again, without it, it looks like that. Gives that nice hazy glow behind things, like it's through atmosphere. And then the optical glow effect makes the glow wrap around anything that's in front of it, as if this was a glow burning into the film on the camera. So it makes it then wrap very nicely around, say, the haze that I put partially back there, the debris that comes in front of it, and his tri-corner hat. So basically, it just makes it feel like it full on belongs in that scene. And then there you go. Boom. Aliens are attacking the pirate ship. I love, by the way, this whole sequence with the debris flying past him. And look at that. Look, it casts a shadow on his face. Like, it's just so good. Everything about this shot, this whole sequence in Pirates is just so good. But yeah, there you go. Boom. Aliens are now attacking the pirate ship.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Michael, that is phenomenal execution.
Yeah.
I have to say.
Yeah, that's how I use layer glow and optical glow together, and it just is so lovely.
That's beautiful. All right, I'm gonna try to ram preview where I ended up over here, which is. I messed with the curve of the ship's scale to kind of lay it out a little bit more like an actual exponential curve because I could have pushed it further back in Z, but at this point I'm actually stressing out elements Z depth because I'm on that super long lens. So it means I have to push it way far back to start to see it actually compress in space. I mean, as you can see, like the back row of minions is barely much smaller than this front row. And I am so jealous of the cool explosions you have going on in the background, and I feel like see, what I need to do also is super comp in some explosions back here.
I know, super comp, it just, like, I don't want to, like, sound like I'm shilling too hard, but it just makes life so much better.
Okay. Oh, here we go. All right. Let me see if I can tilde this baby.
Tilde this Swinton.
Let's see. There we are. Minions versus aliens, everyone.
The chat wants Ghostbusters.
Oh, you're not entertained.
Like 2 seconds.
Yeah. All right. Ghostbusters will do it. Let's see. Uh, my first step in the Ghostbusters comp is that I'm going to add a spotlight to my to this alien comp, and I'm going to parent it to the spaceship because I really wish that this ship were better lit. So I'm attaching a light to it, and I'm moving it up here, and I just want to give it more definition. Come on, give me a highlight, but not on the minions, just on the ship. I was trying to very quickly replicate the idea of when you have sometimes if you're shooting a miniature model or something like that, you will have specific lights that are just to affect the appearance of an object or something in frame, or to, like, this needs a sun reflection right here. And the accidental thing that it did actually is it breaks up the minions with almost as if there's like maybe a tree line here. So there's like harsh sun hitting that. Anyway, I'm turning that off. Sorry. Ghostbusters, you say? All right. Save you, minions, and let's jump into, what do we have? We have Ghostbusters. Let me start out by clicking on Scene Edit Detection. Split the layer at Scene Edit, and I'm just going to let this analyze. While it's analyzing, Michael, let's see what. Oh, this is the long shot, right?
No, this is just an intro to it. I'm seeing if I can make Primat do this one. I don't think it's going to because of the colors in the scene are too. Well, anyways,
So
I'll work on it.
I believe that so this was all shot on a big old blue screen, but
Yeah.
but they basically needed to block the shot with a performer walking down the stairs, obviously.
Yeah.
And then they had to blow the hell out of the set and film it exceptionally well. And then it becomes an interesting trick of compositing the live action performance into the ship that is exploding, adding additional CG explosion debris and elements that can artfully move, dangerously close to a face or whatever. And probably even more horrifically, I am sure that some real debris getting blown up had to be artfully redirected because it didn't work with the live action plate.
I'm sure.
Which means that someone probably had to paint out a big board that fell in front of that railing at the wrong time and betray the Z depth properly. There are so many things that go into each of these. Was just reminding myself of that when I got to see Thor: Love and Thunder in a theater and watched all them VFX folks in the credits.
And there are a lot of them.
Let's see. Final Films is saying blue screen worked better than green or any other key colors. Choosing between blue and green screen, there are a couple of reasons you do it. One is if it's nowadays, one of the things that a lot of people like to do is they like to key off of a color that's going to be similar to what's wrapping them in the end, which basically means just rotoscoping the characters off of a solid background, because then you don't have any spill. But traditionally, like, it was a combination of things. In digital chips, there is the green channel has a lot more attention to it, and so as a digital format, there's a lot more data in the green channel in a lot of the traditional ways that it was established as digital video became a thing. And also, I don't know, sometimes you go for a blue screen because you got a green character.
Yeah, there's. I mean, in Dune, they basically did roto and made the backgrounds all sand because it was just easier to get a better looking composite when the background color was the same color for all the light spill that was happening. So
it's a really good point. I mean, it's like a lot of Mad Max Fury Road, which they did a ton of admirable, amazing practical shots.
And then augmented them with some amazing CG.
Yes. So So it's always worth looking at a good before and after of any visual effects shot that you think was done practically. If there isn't a before and after situation, then someone might be trying to obscure it on purpose.
Mm-hmm. It happens.
It does happen.
Well, because so many people are like, we didn't, and then, but they did.
Even Taika, who I love, did that PR campaign where they were pointing out Korg and asking if he looked real in random shots from the movie with Tessa Thompson. And first of all, terrifying. But anyway.
Here, I'm doing
Thoughts?
I'm doing my super comp trick again.
Oh, show us the super comp trick.
So here we go. We've got layer glow is on there to give it a nice hazy look. Let's put it up to like, I don't know, 300. Oh, 3,000. That's too much. 300 maybe. Oh my gosh, I can't type today. Here, let's try again. 300. And not anything. There we go. You know what? I'm going to make that one more like 200, I think. Yeah. And then, so that doesn't wrap around. And then we use optical glow, which does wrap around. And we're good. Like, just at
That's yeah, it went over as if that was going to be a complicated, a
Yeah, we just 2
complicated
steps. It's
process.
so
Two
easy.
steps. Look at that, and it looks. I mean, that could absolutely be a still frame from a movie. So,
Right?
so any like Transformers movie where you shot a bunch of cool practical elements and then just needed to add a bunch of cool lasers. Look how quickly you're able to make it work atmospherically without
Oh, I like
such.
that look better. One of the things I really like about optical glow is that you can glow the different channels at different sizes. So if you look, if I can redo that, see how the color is. Let's see, let me just do that at 100. So this is all the color channels the same, but if I have the red one and let's say, add more to the green size, the color is just subtly different around the edge. And I think that adds such a cool look to it. So yeah, that's one of my favorite things I like so much about optical glow. Make the size big on the optical glow too. Fine, I'll make the size bigger.
One of the things I love about a lot of the Red Giant plugins is that there's a lot of attention to how color gets applied. You were talking about compound blur earlier, and I know that After Effects has a built-in compound blur, but one
It
of the
does.
things about Red Giant compound blur is you can bring in a source to blur your comp, and everyone knows a compound blur is basically blurring one image with the luma values of another image. But with universe compound blur, you can select to blur any specific channel of your footage using the compound blur, so you can make it like it's you can like blur have the compound blur hit the red channel and have it taken from not necessarily the luma values, but maybe the green values of something else, and get really crazy looks.
And Stu is saying if I crank the size up more, and then also crank up the fall off, which obviously Stu is going to be correct on this because not only is he amazing at visual effects, but he also had a lot to do with his tool being the way it is. It gets you
Live
that nice,
notes
real
from
hot glow.
world famous
live,
Stu
live.
Mashwitz live.
I know.
Where
But
else?
yes, he's correct. I get the hot core and that nice subtle overlap. Yes, it is better, as expected. So there you go. Another alien shot. This one is going to blow these sailors that are here away. Boom. There it
Oh
goes.
yeah.
Not sure the physics of that guy from over here flying this way, but
You know what? It all works. All right. I am just over in Element trying to do the same kind of thing here. I want to add a. I'm trying to find the right reflection map for the ship in this scenario. So I have the two ships. I have my Dustbuster one, so it could be like a Dustbuster ship versus Ghostbuster. But I actually kind of like, you know what? I kind of want it to be Michael's ship attacking in all of these scenes. So the last thing I'm going to do, though, Michael, is I'm going to maybe
Yes.
augment with a random maybe component or something so this ship can be firing.
Okay.
What do I want? What
I
do I
say
want
I,
for
s-
the
I say go for it.
what's a good looking laser component thingy? These are maybe this thing. Let's move that component down. No, that's too silly. You know what actually looked kind of cool was this very analog toggle switch. And I'm going to repurpose it as an alien laser. And just scale that down here. I do not know why my scroll button isn't working here for the camera, so I gotta work far away. Let's make that much smaller. It'll just be a little, just something that we can track on the ship. And now I'll bring it in here. Now it's there. And we're going to need a couple of layers going on here. So I'm going to delete my extra stuff. I'm going to hide my element for a second, and we've got this car in the foreground. Luckily, it's a pretty short shot. It's that long. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate that layer, and then let's open this up. I could maybe... I'm deciding if I could key it or extract it somehow. You know what? I'm going to rotobrush the body of it, and then I'm going to try to extract the edges nicely. So let's open up this layer. Let's do our fun rotobrush trick. And I'm not really following my own advice, which is you try to, if you've ever looked at a segmented image, you're trying to do the same thing with the rotobrush strokes, but I didn't in this case. But it'll probably be okay. It's pretty high contrasty. So let's play this through, and that will grab the bulk of this car. Great. All right, and I'll freeze that. And now you'll notice when I did that, I totally ignored some of this stuff up here. And there are a couple of things I could have done. I could have used the Refine Edge brush in Rotobrush, and then I would be done now, and I'm kind of regretting it as I say it out loud. But the other thing I could do is I could pre-compose this now keyed Ghostbusters car. I know it's called the Ecto-1. But I'm just going to pre-compose that little bit right there. Oh, whoops. What did I do? I want to pre-compose, but I also want to check that cool little switch that says make it that duration right there. And now in this copy here, I'll duplicate this out. I'm going to delete Rotobrush from one of the instances of it and just put a general like roto mask around it. And on this copy, I'm going to add an extract effect. Oops, not extractor. Extract, and we'll try to crop out the sky colors a bit. There we go. See? This is almost extractable completely. I didn't think the sky was that much brighter, but I should have looked. Oh, actually, no, I'm wrong. So what I'm looking at right now is the this detail on top of the car, those two little bits. So they weren't there. So I'm extracting the background away from them. But if I were just running an extract and didn't have this rotobrushed layer, then I'd be extracting this color too. So these were the only parts that I wanted to really make sure were getting caught in my rotobrush. See? And now I can maybe feather the this garbage mask here. And right now, since it's going to move, obviously, we probably need to do some tracking. I'm curious if I do the track mask option for this car. Let's see what happens. Let's make it a black background so we can watch. And analyze backward. Track mask, pretty good. And now let's you to reveal our keyframes, and now we'll go forward, and we'll track forward. Bup, 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 bup. Not bad. Again, we're just looking for the top of the car there. So I'm going to put some keyframes on the extract, so it's always extracting the top there. Because that's the only part I actually expect to have some kind of overlap with the ship. Okay. Michael, how are you doing?
I'm just adding more beams to the scene because I feel like beams are just make things better.
Beams do make things better.
So I'm just adding some more beams to the scene. If you'll hold for just a second, I'll let's see, beam. Oh, that needs to be above foreground keyed. I'm a fool. A
Ah,
fool. Because I am putting that there. So I'm making a foreground one sweep across the shot real quick, just because there's some destruction that kind of sweeps across the front in the actual thing.
ooh,
So let's see here. Length needs to be at 50%, not 50%. Time needs to be at 50%. 50%. And so I'm going to make this one come from like up here. You know what? No, it's going to come from like here and going to go
ooh.
to the beginning of the shot. It's going to start. Oh, it's too far. Let's go
So now you
here.
know that there are multiple groups.
Yeah. So
Or
that's
the
going to
ship is very
start.
wide.
Yeah. Going to start. It's going to go across. Hang on, let me see more keyframes are on this one because I want that to be gone before that shows up. Yeah, so then we'll make the starting point move a little bit. Wrong one. Starting point of this one needs to move a little bit over this way. And this needs to go all the way across. All the way across. It's boom. There we go. And that'll be the end of that layer. So we should be able to go boom right about in. Yep, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Then that moon moves across that way to blow up that guy and then the other guy. So it makes a little more sense that they both go up that way. And then we've got another one that's going to blow this railing right here. Bam. So here it is in motion. That one probably moves too fast. But yeah, that's too fast. That needs to go way slower.
Oh, but it's gorgeous, though.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying how this is going actually. And I think that needs to be bigger. Like wider.
I am realizing over on my end that I needed to camera track my scene probably would have been a good idea. Even if it just gives me I think it's going to be a 2D result, probably. But, oh, I'm going to show you one of my favorite things. I love whenever you're tracking something and you have keyed elements like this, and so you get the analyzing and background bar behind this stuff. It's a beautiful look.
Oh, I'm enjoying this so much. I just love playing with super comp and optical glow and making beams like this. It's just so much fun. Do you think if you think I'm watch a frame for me play it back? Yeah, Jason Murphy all the time.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. That's a common one. I do hate hiking through something. Oh, analysis failed. Boo. Fine. You know what I'm going to do then? Let's see. Let me watch this whole shot. Doot. And, okay, fine. I'm going to use the effect RGVFX spot clone tracker. I'm going to grab this bush over here. Whoops. I always do those out of order for some reason. Okay. This basically barely even matters, but I just want to track this. Let's see. And where is my... Whoops. track. Just letting Spot Clone Tracker track this real quick in the background. It'll let me know if it has some issues with that last frame where the car goes in
Hashi,
front of it.
Axon Media Seattle wants to know if you have any tips for trying to rotobrush a subject with lots of motion blur.
Ooh, fire your VFX soup and your... No, so if you had to rotobrush something that had a lot of motion blur, this might be a reasonable example, to be honest. Let me show you what I would do. Let's pull up this scene elsewhere. I'm just going to grab a copy of this, and I'm going to make a new composition just to show this really quickly. Okay, mask, delete. Let's delete the extract effect. Okay, so Ecto 1 has a good amount of motion blur going on in some of the parts of this. So I don't remember if there's another shot that has a better motion blurry thing somewhere in the vicinity here. All right, we'll try it with this shot. If I needed to track something that is going to have a lot of motion blur, like here's a real challenging moment. Right where the hood is coming down and does that, there's a whole bunch of very fuzzy, poorly defined edges, right? So if you were in this footage, normally what you would have already done is with Rotobrush, you would segment this into pieces. So you probably have a little a stroke right there that knows that it's trying to get the tire and maybe the wheel well. You have kind of a stroke along that part of the side, a stroke along here, and maybe back there, and then do the same thing for up here. You'd have sort of the top body of the car, the roof of the car. See, that grabbed all of that, but I actually still want another line right there so it really knows that it should commit to that. And then a line for the hood, a line for the grill, and now you'll see it tried to eat up more than was its fill, so I'm just going to Alt-click over here, Alt-click over here, and that starts to eat it back to this shape. And now when we get down into these kind of abstract parts that are getting pretty fuzzy and pretty motion blurred, I've had some pretty good success switching from this tool, Rotobrush, to the Refine Edge tool right under it. And once you're on the Refine Edge tool, you can kind of select a diameter that will kind of capture the feathering going on in that area. Whoops, I did not mean to click yet. So, for example, I can probably, with the standard Rotobrush tool, dial this down and probably get kind of that stripe there. And that's okay. And I can do a little shape there so it's supposed to know that the tire is supposed to be part of this image too, and tell it that this is not. But you'll see it's getting a little confused, and that's going to look bad. So I'm going to switch to the Refine Edge tool, make this radius be about as wide as the feather may occur over the course of several frames. So I'm going to draw a line right along here on that dark part there. And what Rotobrush has done now is it's added to the mask an automatically calculated feather for that section. Same for this tire. If I want to do a little curve right there, it's going to guess that the pieces that are close to my Rotobrushed shape are supposed to have some value like this. So you can sort of see that it got this really well. The body of the car is solid white. That edge, that feathery edge section, if I just preview back and forth, there we go. So look at this, and this is a Rotobrush stroke, but it has all of that detail. And this is where I would try if I were trying to do a very motion blurred thing. So like even here, I could use the same tool to say some of these instruments I want to be being captured here. So I'm attaching it to there. These might be a little bit confused right now because I don't have anything actually tracked there. What's going on here? Okay, so those strokes are not very connected to this, and so it's not. So it's actually eating away more at this as opposed to adding. So what I should do is actually roto brush them on like this, just to say yes, solidly get this whole section and add it to my roto. But then once you've done that, I'm also going to tell you that I actually don't really like this sky color bit. And instead, I would rather you refine the edges within this section. This is going poorly for whatever reason. But you see how these strokes basically cut out this with a very soft alpha right here. It's kind of cool. So that's how you get your really motion blurry thing to be tracked well. You just kind of do this. I probably over-explained that and under-delivered on what I was showing, but the Refine Edge tool is way cool. And we are to the last 8 minutes of our time here. I'm jumping back over to see where what I've got going on over here. I have run Spot Clone Tracker on the background here, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to actually grab the positions of the spot center and copy them to a null real quick. I could actually link them to it too. Whoops, what have I done? I don't remember. Do we have a button for that yet?
For what? For what?
For exporting a null from the tracking data in Spot Clone Tracker.
Oh.
It's been asked for.
It has been asked for by you.
Mm-hmm.
And others. It's not just you.
True. So I'm copying the position and just pasting it over here, and I actually don't even need Spot Clone Tracker anymore. But now this null will be kind of moving along with the footage like that. And it's pretty great because it even gets these quite motion blurred sections. That's why I like using it over the point tracker. And the only time that it paused is when it got to this point where where Ecto-1 started interfering with where it was supposed to be. So really, let's see, by the end here it should be about, I'm going to say here. I was making a linear thing. My trick is to look at the last 2 keyframes and then watch those little dots for where it's going to plot the next ones out. And that's my best guess. So with those 2 things connected, I'm going to do something that is also not recommended, which is I'm going to parent the 3D null to that 2D null. And the reason this is going to work is because I don't have a full track camera here. It's just the transformation of this is going to sort of work to keep it in the frame. Isn't that cool?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know what I want to do to make this more interesting now. Because, I've added a stupid saucer to here, but there's no... I kind of want, like, the Ecto-1 to be firing Proton Blast at it, and the spaceship somehow firing its weapon back. So maybe let's add a position and orientation value right here. Actually, let me go to the end and figure out where I want the ship to end up. Okay, so up there off the top frame, that's fine. So at the very beginning, let's have it be back here. I love how well farm landscapes and alien ships work together. And just something magical about it. Okay, I don't know. That's a slightly interesting move. Slight being the key word there. Let's add a teeny bit of curve in its path here. Whoops. I just want to create a little like flyby situation.
Oh, that looks so fun.
Okay, let's do the other trick of adding a quick black solid, adding a mask, inverting the mask, and then just crunch it down like that. Add our letterboxed frames back. Nuts. I'm not gonna get enough done in the next 3 minutes here. What should we do, Michael?
I mean, it's already looking pretty fun.
That's true. All right, I'll call it the ship, and then I'll also add. Let's see how fast we could do this. Let me go to footage and let's root around in here to see if we have some. Where have I stored them? Did I save my Okay, let's grab a gasoline explosion or a fireball or something like that from Action VFX. No idea which ones are which. Let's just take a look at some of these. It's kind of a boring one. Very small, very small. Okay, here we are. Alright, let's quickly just throw this in here. Let's parent it to that null that was sort of tracked to the scene. And let's see where it would go. It should go behind Ecto 1. Oh yeah, here we go.
Ryan Donenbaugh would like to get some quick displacement in the wake of the UFO. That's actually very easy to do. All you need to do is get an emitter for trap code particular, have it vaguely follow the position of the spaceship, leaving trails behind it, and then use chromatic displacement or as a displacement layer in SuperComp, and you kind of get good to go real fast.
You really do.
I demonstrated it last week at the IDEA conference. A lot of
Nice.
sports graphics, people wanting, because they make the hero videos that they play in the stadiums. They want to make their athletes for their team feel like larger than life superhero style. And so I was showing folks, I had a soccer player running and having streaks behind him, and I also did that same technique to have a baseball player hit a ball with a big shockwave. All you do is just you need black and white particles and use that to drive a chromatic displacement, and you just automatically have gorgeous looks. And the particles look terrible because you don't need the particles to look good. You just need black and white values that follow the motion.
I don't know how I lost your camera.
Oh, my whole computer is kind of dying.
Just falling apart. That's all right. Let me show you. Yeah, I think what you're talking about is basically you have some particular, and on the emitter settings, because I already have a 3D null right here. Let's see. Oh, this is going to be a little bit messed up because this is going to be a situation where nuts. Okay, what can I do? What can I do? Normally I would emit them from here, but I've done a stupid thing, which is attached a 3D object to a 2D object. So this is going to be a little funky, folks.
I was going to say just hand key the animation to follow it.
Oh, that's a good idea. It's linear, right?
Yeah, just hand key the.
Okay, create. Oh wait, no, I can just create a null and parent.
Just parent the null,
and then shift parent the null to the saucer. What the heck was
so
I
easy.
thinking?
We're all morons.
Okay, so watch this. So now we've got an explosion going. We've got, and look at this, little particles moving there in space. So now what I would need to do is I could enhance these probably by. Let's see, where did I put particular? Okay, let's just turn the particle size up a little bit, and then turn the size random up a little bit. So we're just getting something kind of like this. And then I'm going to turn their opacity down and a little bit random. So now it's sort of like, like smoke. Like could be cheap smoke that you're getting. Under the emission extras, or not emission extras, under global settings, I'm going to pre-run this by a few seconds. So I'll have some extra particles at the beginning already. And then to enhance that even more, I'm actually going to slide this whole layer with the saucer on it back further like this and add some more keyframes for motion like that. And then I'm going to slide the whole layer back to where it was. All right. So what I did there is now particular knows that the ship came from way back there. Now I know this looks bad. And even when I put this particular behind the ship, that's going to look bad. Like this is a silly composite. This looks like a Photoshop, done by someone in an article that says, "Are there aliens in the new Ghostbusters movie?" And so, but if I rename these layers thoughtfully, let's call it the background, the wake, the ship, the explosion, and Ecto 1, those are actually all of the visual information coming into here. I'm ignoring my letterboxing. I'm just going to right-click on that and go to Effect, VFX, Super Comp. Thank you all for sticking with us. I know we're a couple minutes past our time, but heck, I really want to do this. So here we go. So now I will change this wake from normal to a displacement layer. And when I do that, let me see. I want to make sure I'm showing it on screen well enough. Okay, there's not a whole lot of detail in the sky back here. But if I were to crank this up a lot so you could see what's happening is it is actually distorting the background right here. So if I turn it up to a ridiculous amount, you can start to see, look at this vapor trail effect. And it's so crazy organic because it's a displacement map using the little particles, which are sort of, random opacity and stuff, and almost creating their own little effect. So here's a very exaggerated version, but watch what these particles do over time. They create this like heat ripple kind of effect. It's even better if the best thing about Super Comp is that right now I can just jump down to where the wake is and under the particle settings. For the life, I'd like the opacity over life to go down over time, so they just fade out. So I'll click on a preset for fade out over time, which will mean displace less over time. So there's strong displacement coming right off the ship and less later. And in real life, I would make this much more subtle, kind of just like that amount. So when I play this, you'll see there's this wake coming off of the ship like that. And then also I would go make my explosion look better by looking at this and saying, no, that's not good. Let's turn this in, let's add some things to make this sit in a little bit better. In fact, why don't I grab one of my presets? Oh, are you rendering over there, Michael?
I am.
That is so
just
exciting.
just because we're at the end, and I want to make sure I had like something like a full piece to actually show off. There's a little more I want to do before, like the sound design and whatnot. But
fair enough. Insanity. I'm going to switch I forgot that I needed to switch the mode of my layer to additive, but never fear that it's just becoming semi-transparent like this, because Super Comp has these cool pyrotechnic presets where it's doing this thing called a core matte to add back in the original color, which is really cool. I'm going to put my bars back up above it like that. Okay, so that's the preset out of the box. Let me see what other presets might look good on this. Let's see. There's Explosion Core, which will try to preserve the colors of that explosion. That's pretty nice. And, oops. Let's see. Flames. All right, how are you doing? You know what, actually, Big Fire, I actually did really like the most, I think. And our ship needs some stuff too. So if I were to just grab a preset, I would probably go to the ship, I would go to the presets, integration, and I'd probably do something like a subtle double wrap and maybe add in some haze or something like that. So it'll match the background a little bit more, and I could also add some color correction that says match the background's kind of lighting. Oh, that's awesome. That pushed it way back into the sky. So I don't want that much. I'll turn the amount of color correction down once it's matched those colors a bit. And now I have it blending into the sky a bit more. Anyway, not fantastic, but fast. Let's play this through. And I would probably add some keyframes. And probably kill a lot of this color correction, actually. Anyway, you have been a wonderful audience. We love having you here to watch these episodes. We have one more episode of the season. Oh, are you ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh. Here it comes. Yes! Oh, man. Pirates versus aliens.
Yes. That's what I got so far.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
And better than at least 3/4 of the Pirates movies.
Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, look at that. That's
Skype
cool.
tunnel.
Skype tunnel. Well, Michael, this has been a fantastic exercise in comping aliens into other things. You built that ship, which is amazing that we were able to put into all of those things. We used some super comp to make laser blasts look awesome. We made some minions fear for their lives.
As minions should do.
As they should do. They should be afeared of what may happen if they don't watch it. But honestly, thank you all for coming by to see this exciting episode of VFX and Chill. Our season finale is next Friday, same time, 10 a.m. Pacific. And please come by to check it out. And if you're bored in the meantime, or not even just bored, if you like learning, please check out some of these other lovely channels like the Maxon channel, the Maxon Training Team channel, and some of the many live events we have scheduled for there if you want to continue your learning journey with people who really, really know crazy 3D software and stuff. So, anything else we should say, Michael?
We love you. See you next week. And hit us up on the socials. Red Giant News on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, we post tips every Tuesday, most every Tuesday, and all kinds of cool stuff happening.
I love it. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.